Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to the IMAA's Leadership Series, The Art of Growth. And this is part 3. And today we have the pleasure of the guys from Agency Accelerator, Susan Werkner and Peter Applebaum, are joining us today. Now, these guys are experts in the field, and they're going to talk about how to land corporate clients on autopilots. I will hand over to them to allow them to do a better job than introducing themselves rather than me. So over to you guys to kick things off.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Sam. Just to let you know a bit of a 30-second background. Susan and I have been agency owners. I started my agency over 20 years ago and Susan 15 years ago. So we decided a few years ago, just before the pandemic, in fact, to launch the Agency Accelerators to help other agency owners and managers to better have a more predictable way of getting larger clients. Because from our own experience and also from speaking to many other agencies, we've found that it's often very ad hoc at best, like when there's a bit of a hole in the revenue, there's a bit of time where you're between jobs, if you will, where one job finishes, you're looking for new jobs. So we want to make sure that we work with clients here in Australia and around the world, primarily in the US. And we're just really excited to take you through how to land new corporate clients on autopilot. So the agenda, it says now that everything has gone to sleep. The agenda is 5 reasons your agency is the perfect fit for corporate clients. The 4 most powerful ways you can get at least 1 corporate client in the next 90 days. We're then going to talk about how to create predictable corporate client leads for your agency, and how you can future-proof your agency. And then at the end, if there's time and if there is interest, of course, we can have some questions and answers. So can smaller agencies really win larger clients? I mean, as Sam has said, and we have our experience, obviously many of you are very successful agency owners and managers. Many of you do have larger clients, so we're not telling you anything you don't know. But what we're about is really reinforcing the fact that independent agencies can and do regularly win larger clients. And I guess we're taking through in the short time we have with you, taking you through exactly how we can do that for the strategies that we use. So 5 reasons your agency is a perfect fit for corporate clients. And that's something that you probably take for granted every day, but it is very, very important and can stand out and differentiate you from certainly the holding companies and the larger companies that you're competing with. So firstly, many corporate clients don't just want to work with smaller agencies. Frankly, they need to. And the reasons for that is your fresh thinking, your passion, creativity, and your incredible customer service. So those are the sorts of things, combined with the fact that you're also cost effective compared to the larger agencies. It makes you a compelling proposition. But as you know, we're not sitting here saying, oh, they're just going to come knocking on your door. If they do, well done you. But the reality is often you have to go out there and get them. So that's what we're about, is talking about ways that you can get those clients in a more predictable way. So Susan.
Thank you, Peter. So what we'll go through is really the 4 most powerful ways that you can get at least 1 corporate client in the next 90 days. And as Peter has explained, it is absolutely possible. So here are the 4 steps that will really help you to hone in and find those target clients. So firstly, identify your most profitable niche. I guess there are so many. There's actually, in terms of marketing agencies, there's over 9,000 marketing agencies just in Australia. So obviously, media agencies being subsegment of that, but it's hugely competitive, as you all know. And the beauty is that with the advent of artificial intelligence and algorithms and the other automated type processes that media is now using, there's actually a great opportunity for you to niche your services and really hone in on the area that makes your media agency unique, because that's what is going to cut through from your competitors. So, whether you're targeting e-commerce or fintech, all of those are growing. E-commerce absolutely has grown during COVID, as you can imagine. The media spend has increased by about 22%, I believe, from Forrester over the last just 12 months, because people are obviously at home, they're not going out as much. So consumers obviously are consuming media, and advertisers spending more. They're spending more on getting to those media clients. So really honing in on what is the area, what problem are you solving for your client that is different to the others? Sam earlier mentioned, the big holding agencies. A lot of those big holding agencies do have obviously big media departments, and they're sort of aggregating their media departments. But I think the opportunity is for the smaller agents, the indies like yourselves, to really look at what can make you different and stand out from the crowd. And I think, for example, we've had agencies before that, for example, they said it's our service, it's our creativity, it's our people, all of which is true. And that's fantastic, because that's obviously is true and is fantastic in terms of getting those clients. But thinking through what really positions you as different. For example, one of our clients says, oh, we just over-service our clients. So one of their positioning statements was, our service never sleeps. Now, that's just a positioning line, but from there, obviously, they can then demonstrate that with the case studies of how they've over-serviced clients, the type of results they've achieved for their clients. So there's various ways in which you can really niche and be different from your competitors. So think very much, firstly, step one, niche. What makes you, your agency, unique in the marketplace? Secondly, blue ocean strategy. Again, if you're telling your clients that you can do everything, then really, as we've heard before, if you offer everything, you stand for nothing. So there's a book which I don't know if you've heard of, the Blue Ocean Strategy by INSEAD professors, put out a book a number of years ago now, and they referred to the red ocean strategy and a blue ocean strategy. Red ocean strategy obviously being where there are an enormous amount of competitors. Everyone is offering the same thing. You're all trying to go after the same fish. So all of you are trying to fish in the same pond. That's really what that analogy is. But what we're saying here is if you can find a niche for yourself, you can find something that really differentiates you. And that could be, the way you do your processes. It could be a software solution you have that others don't have, or you tweak a software solution or an outcome that others don't have, and you can sort of trademark that for yourselves. There's various ways that you can really niche it. And if you can do that niching, what happens is you then can be in that blue ocean, which means your competitors are far fewer and you're going to stand out amongst that target audience you're wanting to get, that bigger corporate client. So next, organic outreach. Organic outreach is very important, and one of the best ones really that we feel works very well for clients and for any agency out there is LinkedIn. Naturally, everyone we know is on LinkedIn. Corporates are on LinkedIn. They may not be on as often as agencies are, but they do look at their LinkedIn profile. So it's a fantastic B2B hunting ground. And if you don't have Sales Navigator on LinkedIn, we would highly recommend you getting Sales Navigator. It's an add-on to the LinkedIn, which allows you to really build lists of targeted prospects you want to connect with. And that allows you, again, to reach out directly. And we say that with a value added benefit, reach out directly to those LinkedIn prospects. So LinkedIn is wonderful. Email is fantastic, depending on your audience. Facebook, which, yes, the algorithms change. So Facebook is definitely far more difficult, I guess, as a medium, but still is a relevant medium for those that are looking to get some of the maybe e-commerce type of clients. Warm calling is a strategy. Often if for example, warm calling is really about already having sent out a LinkedIn request or an email with some value-added material, that gives you the opportunity to warm call those prospects because they've already seen your name. They're aware of your agency. So that's a great way. And really knowing your prospect, the best way to really know and understand how to communicate with them is being where they are. What do they read? What do they look at? What are they interested in? What associations do they belong to? So being a member of those associations can help you as well. And thought leadership and value, you add value consistently. So that's one of our mantras. So the mantra really is making sure you have information that you can put together that provides you thought leadership to send out to these prospects that you're working with. For example, SurveyMonkey has a platform, which you may or may not know, that does provide quite inexpensively some research that you can do. So you could actually have half a dozen questions on SurveyMonkey for, let's say you look after the travel industry, for example. You might pick 50 clients you want to work with in the travel industry. You put together half a dozen different questions, put it out to that consumer panel on SurveyMonkey, the results of which you turn into a white paper. And that becomes unique to your agency, that research. You can then use that in numerous ways. You can send it out via LinkedIn, via email marketing. You maybe send it off to one of the online advertising places such as umbrella, to get PR for yourselves. So there's various ways they can really push through and get some traction and awareness for the agency. So as we always say, with those types of content pieces, creating thought, not agreement. So sometimes you can be controversial. At the advertising week, for example, there was a gentleman from MasterCard. He was speaking, and he actually said something very controversial. He said, marketing, the way we did marketing is now dead. So everyone just gasped. But he then went on to explain what he meant by that marketing in the old-fashioned way is dead, and that got people thinking. So it was a great way to get thought and to get people thinking about something that traditionally you wouldn't really think about. So that's the second way, is organic outreach. Now, automating your prospecting, this is so important. The majority of agencies, this is probably the biggest problem that most agencies have, is, as we all, being agency owners ourselves, time. That really is our biggest issue, is who has the time to do, prospecting day in, day out. So automating your prospecting, having and joining with partnerships like we have, for example, webinars are a great way to utilize your time better, because webinars allow you to get in front of a larger audience, to really push your message and your uniqueness to that target audience in a forum that is an affinity forum if you joined a partnership with another organization that has the audience you want to talk to. So, and you can record that webinar, and once you've recorded that webinar, you can play it again. You can have it on your website, you can have it on YouTube. YouTube is another great tool that is probably underutilized yet at this stage for getting your message out. So creating industry and company specific content, as I mentioned, is a great way for you to really build a reputation. Because at the essence of what you want to do is build the reputation for your agency, which really is, as we say, it's your brand. So your brand is the heart of everything that you do. So if your brand is out there and building awareness with that target audience, you're going to be the first one they call. Google, Facebook, as we said, LinkedIn ads, any of these types of platforms that are suitable for your audience, building content, but specific content in a strategic way, will get you conversations with those clients. And we suggest you outsource your outreach, because once you have a strategy in place, and it's very important to have a sequence of messaging, whether it's a sequence for LinkedIn, a sequence for email marketing, you can have a sequence for any number of different verticals. Once you put that sequence together, you can really outsource that either to a junior in your firm, if you have someone, or you can outsource to virtual assistants. So, I mean, for example, we use half a dozen virtual assistants in our business, and that's how we drive results for our clients and for ourselves, because we don't have the time to be doing connections. You may or may not know, LinkedIn only allows 100 connections a week, for example. So those 100 connections over a month, that's 400 new connections you could be reaching out to on LinkedIn. And if that's the case, let's say 20% of them, that's 80, actually accept your LinkedIn message. And let's say 10% of those want to talk to you. That's 8 conversations a month you could be having with target prospects. Inevitably, one of those will become a client, and that could be worth $100,000, $500,000, $1 million over a year. So we really say outsource your outreach is a great way to maximize your time and maximize the opportunities for your media agency. And closing the sale. We all want to close the sale. So it's obviously number 4 is very important. Closing the sale, if you've done all the other 3 steps very well, then your target audience already has a trust factor with you, and you can therefore create an unfair advantage for your agency. Because if you've identified the niche, you've made sure that you're different from your competitors, and you really have honed in on how the problem you're solving that is different, and the results you're going to get, then you really are ahead of the game compared to your other competitors. And of course, procurement is very important. We all hate procurement. And Peter spent a lot of time in the healthcare industry. So with a lot of healthcare companies, procurement can be rather intensive. But it's important to make friends with procurement and understand your client's internal processes. Because often if you're dealing with a brand manager or marketing manager, they're often just as frustrated as you with procurement. So if you can help ease their way to making sure that you actually understand the procurement process, if let's say you're working with a larger client, that is going to help you to build a stronger relationship with your brand, product, or marketing director that you're working with. So the other part, triple M rule. So the triple M rule is also very important, because often we've had, clients, and it's happened to us, where you're talking to a marketing director, they really want to work with you, and they ask you to put together a project proposal. You take all the time to put a project proposal together, and then realize at the end of the day, they don't have budget for it. So before you start doing work with any client, we suggest you make sure you use the triple M rule. So that's make sure they have the mandate, the money, and the motivation to work with you now. So that's the way you find that out, is asking them the questions. Who else is involved in the decision making? When do you think you might be making that decision? Do you have a budget set aside for this project? So that's another key thing that is important when you're dealing with larger clients. And that way you develop internal champions as well. So once you're inside the larger client, as you can imagine, 3M has something like 30, 40 departments within 3M, for example. It doesn't have to be that large, but any company that is a larger company usually has more departments. If you can network within that company, you can get projects within that company that could also last and end up having half a dozen clients, even in one company. So trading, the other part is trading on the inherent risk aversion. As we said before, corporates are very risk averse. So if you can make sure that you are the most trusted person in the organization, you present it to them, you're authentic with them, and you build rapport, you can become the most trusted supplier that they're going to use. Because corporates, at the end of the day, what does the corporate want? They want to keep their job, they want to look good, and they want to make sure they get results for their brand. So that's another very important part of closing the sale. So lastly, you're probably wondering, it might seem all too hard. Well, we're here to tell you it's not as hard as it looks, and it's not impossible, because we know that time is the scarcest resource that we have. So, but the harsh reality is that really you have three options of providing the service that you need. And one of the key things, which is an opportunity you have, is that overall only 10% of agencies are actually doing what we've just described. They actually have understood their niche, understood where their opportunity is, and have an ongoing business development program. So that's fantastic news for you if you're going to do it, because that means you've knocked out 90% of competitors because they're not showing up, but you are with your business development program. So that is a good opportunity for yourselves.
So I guess, thank you, Susan. So
thank you, Pete.
The question is, how can you create those predictable corporate client leads for your agency? And I know the title of this presentation, this webinar, was on Autopilot. It really is, the key to all of this is those 4 steps, but really outsourcing your outreach. Once you've got the strategy set up, it's outsourcing it as much as you can. So when you're busy, when you're on holidays, when your team is flat out doing a pitch or something like that, you are prospecting every single day. Now, I know, again, as we said earlier, it sounds all too hard, it can't happen, but we've created the corporate client growth formula. It's an 8-step program that can take you through basically exactly what you need to do. And the good news is it doesn't take a huge amount of time. And once you've actually set that foundation, put that foundation in place, you really can outsource the running of it. Because let's face it, it's like we're all creative people. We're all focused on growing our businesses and making sure that we can service clients to the best that we can. So with regards to putting out 100 connection requests on LinkedIn every week is not exactly exciting. And then messaging those people and keeping in touch with them over a period of time is not exciting. But if you have someone, it can be a junior in your organization, it can be somebody who only wants to work part-time, or it can be a virtual assistant. As long as you outsource that, and it can be done in a very cost-effective way, you're away. You basically are doing something that, as Susan said, 90% of your competitors are not doing, because 90% of agencies do not have a predictable, consistent business development program in place. Like Sam, Susan and I gave a presentation at Advertising Week a few days ago, and we asked 200 people in our presentation, how many of you have sent out 100 connection requests on Sales Navigator or LinkedIn over the past week? Not one hand. unfortunately, because that's really, it's a great opportunity for every agency owner and manager to go out there and create connections with people you want to work with. And it's exactly using those 4 steps that once you set that up, you can put it on autopilot, and you, as I say, you are away. Now, I guess some of the cynics in the room, metaphorical room, can say, okay, that sounds good, but does it really work? Well, here are a few examples. A small Australian-based client won 2 corporate clients, 1 in Canada, and 3 smaller clients within 90 days. And that was initially, the revenue for them was $125,000. I might add, this was 18 months ago. I was in Melbourne, and our client was in hard lockdown, wasn't able, actually, I'm sure you people in Melbourne can relate, you weren't actually even allowed to go to your office or leave your home for very much other than the necessities. So she still managed to do that, winning 5 clients within those 90 days by using the sort of principles we're talking about here. And as I say, when we say $125,000 initially, obviously there's the ongoing as well, which doesn't count that. Another client sent an email to a corporate they'd never met. They started doing email marketing, which is not exactly high tech, but obviously it's something they weren't doing before. And they were invited to pitch, and they won what was a transformative piece of business, which generated initially at least $100,000 monthly recurring revenue. A large US agency client identified a new niche they'd previously ignored that generated over $250,000 in fees within 2 months. And a South African client opened a brand new APAC office and won high-profile beverage clients within 60 days. And that was primarily done with one single webinar that was targeting the Asia-Pac market. And they won, actually, they started conversations with major corporates, one of which was Coca-Cola. But they won and it wasn't actually Coca-Cola that they started working with, but it was another major beverage client. So this does work. It's all about relationship building and showing up and adding value consistently, which is what we say, that is our mantra. So Susan, back to you.
Thank you, Peter. So I guess the last part of our presentation is really about helping to understand how can you future-proof your agency. And what we mean by that is really making sure that your agency is not lurching, I guess, from month to month, like we've all done before, month to month, wondering where the next client is going to come from. So I think really building that sustainable, stress-free business and agency for yourself, it really is about putting a business development program together. And there's 3 ways you can obviously implement that. Firstly, the first option, of course, is do it yourself, which some of our clients do. So some agencies do it yourself. If you've got the time and you want to do that, then that's great. You know, you can also implement yourself. But we do find, because your agency owner wears so many hats, it can become stressful trying to do those connections, those email marketing. Even if you automate them, they can be a little bit stressful, but that is one option, is to do it yourself. Another option is, of course, to use your internal, if you have one, an internal business development person or team. And that can work. It can work sometimes, but inevitably business development people leave. So I guess what happens is that they've made all these referrals, they've made all these connections, and then 6 months later or 9 months later, that business development person leaves, and then you're left again with a desk and a phone. So again, what we would suggest, if you are going to do something with use a business development person, again, having a program in place that is embedded into your agency, that becomes an asset for your agency, and that is ongoing. It means that if you are going to use a business development person, they've got the program already there. It actually makes them more effective. And we have worked with larger agents. We have one client that has, I think, 400 staff. And we work with their business development team to actually implement the strategy. And they have become far more successful in getting clients, because it's not relying just on the business development team. It's relying on a process to get new clients. So it can work whether you're a 1-person, 2-person agency or a 400-person agency. And thirdly, of course, some of our clients really just want to get it done very quickly, and really don't have the time or the internal resources to do it themselves, or sometimes the money. I mean, business development people obviously cost a lot of money if you want someone decent. So they work with us, and we can help really put together a business development program in a matter of really a short period of time, relatively short period of time, that really takes you from where you are now to having an ongoing business development program where leads come in every month for your agency. So that's how we can help you. And really, our program is ongoing. We keep it going for you, and we keep your team accountable. So again, the other part of this is not just yourself, because I think as agency owners, you put a lot on yourself and you feel that business is just your mandate. But actually, we help you to get your employees, everyone in the company, in the agency, they need to be part of the business development program. And it's exciting. It becomes fun if everyone is involved and everyone has a little part to play in helping bring in those new clients and to keep that pipeline full. So we do help to coach, mentor, I guess you would call it. We work with you and your team to help you really build your corporate client outreach initiatives. We help clients with pitches if they need to, help them with how they should present. Some of our clients even ask about pricing. Pricing can sometimes be a difficult one too. So they're the type of ways that we can help your organization. And we help you to save time and get wins with corporate clients a lot more quickly than you would otherwise. So we would like to offer, or anyone in IMAA, any of you who are on here, we'd love to get to know you, to just to have a 30-minute strategy session with you. We can help maybe identify opportunities that you're missing within the agency. And it's open to anyone. If you'd like to just email us at success@theagencyaccelerators.com, set up a time with Peter and I, and we'd love to have a chat and love to help you with any questions you might have afterwards as well.